Welcome to the Writer's Life. Place to get the sight, sound, smells, taste of my particular writer's life and where you get the truth about the writer's life. Um, Subscribe if you haven't already. Punch the like button and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss out on one exciting video. Ghost of Christmas Past. Yes, he haunted me last night. Yeah, got me. I was up at like 3. And then I did that stupid. I was up at like 3 to 4, and then I made that stupid mistake to take like half a Valium. I went into my travel bag and took like half of one, and thinking like, oh well, it'll give me a couple hours of sleep, and I'd like conked out till 8 o'clock, and I'm just waking up now at like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Anyway, enough about controlled substances. Christmas Past. What was it like for me as a kid? As far as I can remember, because I had 2 older sisters. My oldest sister's a lot older, so she would have preferred to sleep in, when I was like 6 or 7 years old. That's like as early as I remember, 5, 6, 7. But the middle child, my other sister, is only 3 years older, so like she and I'd get up at like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and my father was a musician, and usually he would have been out the night before playing a gig, maybe. He didn't always play a gig on the Christmas Eve, but sometimes he did. So if he had played a gig, like he was like, go back to bed, Santa Claus hasn't come yet, or one of those, whatever. Anyway, but by the time 5 o'clock rolled around, like, the parents acquiesced, like, oh God, like the last thing they want to do is get up. But, we'd go downstairs, and my mother would go all out. Excuse me, Santa Claus would go all out, and there'd be a ton of stuff under the tree or whatever. And on occasion, my parents would be so tired they'd have an argument over whatever. But anyway, it was, generally it was cool. It was fine. And then we'd either, if we hadn't gone to church like the night before, the day before, I don't think we started doing that till I was a teenager. We'd probably, when I was still very little, we'd go to church that morning, which for me was always a drag. Like, I gotta get dressed, like, screw up my morning here. I want to play with my G.I. Joes, right? So go to church, and then from there, it became the Christmas of hell, because my father was one of those guys that just my father's all Italian, and my mother is half Italian and Polish and Austrian. So she didn't have that Italian guilt like my father had. So my father just insisted on visiting every relative in the book who lived in our area, like people I didn't even know of, and people I haven't seen since, and we just like, we just like stand there and like, and it was just like, can we go home now? And we wouldn't actually come back home until like dark, not, it could start early, but like, and then it was cool. I could play with my toys again and all that sort of stuff. So like my mother hated that. My mother just, she was so happy when that part of it was over. I forget what we used to do for Christmas dinner. If we had Christmas dinner, we might have had Christmas dinner like at my aunt's house. I'm not sure. It's how little I remember. We always had Thanksgiving, but I don't know what we did for Christmas dinner. I guess sometimes we had it. We must have, but if we did have it, it was like around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so that my mother could get everybody out, which I didn't care about, but. And so fast forward to like, my college years or whatever, I'm the only one at home at this point. Everybody else is gone. And Christmas Eve, usually my parents and I would go to midnight mass. And then you'd wake up at a normal hour. And, by then you're getting mostly like cash. with a few things, like sweaters or something like that, and generally speaking, it was Christmas music would be playing, and my father would be working on blueprints in the basement, and and I think in terms of my parents, it was their happiest time because everything was more peaceful, and that we didn't necessarily, if my father wanted to visit relatives at that point, he just went, and would come back a couple hours later, that kind of thing, and because his parents were getting up there, and then fast forward to when I was young and married, like, and I had toddlers of my own. Um, then those were like fun times because it was cool, you know, seeing the kids, get up for Christmas and all that sort of stuff, and you kind of relive your own past a little bit, but you know, but boy, did you fly through money, like so, like it would. It was at that time that I never equated like worrying about money in Christmas time ever, unless I had a girlfriend and I'm like, oh crap, I gotta buy stuff for her or whatever. But like the money I would go through, Christmas would make me broke when the kids were little, between buying stuff for like my wife and buying stuff for them, and or whatever. It happens to a lot of people. Or we'd go and use the credit card, right? Go into even more debt. So but it was great, and and now fast forward again, and the kids are grown, so like, and only my mother's around, so I'll visit my mother on maybe New Year's or on Christmas Eve. We'll exchange a couple of gifts, and that'll be about it. And like my sons like to work on Christmas Day. I like to write on Christmas Day, or ski. And I just give out money as gifts, and that's it, really. Um, it's actually really sedate and calm, and I have spent many years in Italy on Christmas, and just sort of like by myself. I've had dinner with friends sometimes, but like, but I decided to like start coming back to the States for Christmas. Um, just because I like that holiday, whatever, and then Christmas week for me is a work week. New Year's, you know, I'm in bed usually by 9 o'clock. You know, um, it's not like I have a significant other I'm gonna go out with or anything like that this year, or whatever. There's been years in the past where I've been asked out for New Year's or whatever, and those nights have been fun. But that hasn't happened in a couple of years. Anyway, so that's the ghost of Christmas past, and present, really. Um, what's the ghost of Christmas future going to be like? I have no idea, but something tells me when I'm in my 60s and 70s, God willing, that it will be much different. Maybe there'll be grandchildren running around. Maybe there'll be I'll be living in a new place. All sorts of anything can happen. So we'll just have to see. All right. I hope you guys having a great day. I assume everybody's out Christmas shopping, and that this will be viewed later. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right. I'll talk to you guys later.